Welcome to the Homeschool 5 in 10, the podcast where every episode is filled with 5 of the best homeschooling takeaways, tips, and resources in 10 minutes or less. I'm your host, Kathy Gosen. Let's get started. Today we are talking about 5 of the most important areas to focus on during the preschool years. Preschool can be such a fun time of learning. Everything is exciting. The birds in the trees, the characters in the storybooks, how high you can build a tower. There is so much to discover and do. That being said, let's get into the 5 most important areas you need to focus on during the preschool years. Number 1, gross motor skills. A lot is happening in your child's little body during the preschool years. You may notice your kids like to move a lot during this age because they are growing physically and are needing to learn how to coordinate all those new muscles. Gross motor skills are the development of large motion actions such as running, jumping, hopping on one foot, riding a bicycle, and skipping. These skills are important because they develop a child's sense of balance, coordination, speed, and endurance. Many gross motor skills also lay the foundation for future daily tasks such as reading and writing because many of them involve movement that crosses the midline. Crossing the midline is any action your child does where one side of their body crosses over to the opposite side. An example of this could be something as simple as picking up a block on their left side and putting it on a tower on the right side. In order for children to do these types of activities, they are using both sides of their brain to coordinate smooth, controlled, and complex movements. There are several gross motor skills you can encourage your child to develop during the preschool years, including skipping, drawing large figure eights with their finger, markers, or paintbrush, hopping on one foot, riding a tricycle or a bicycle, throwing, catching, kicking, hitting, or bouncing balls of different sizes, doing somersaults, or walking backwards. You can often practice these skills through fun games like hopscotch, freeze tag, twister, or Simon Says. Taking a beginning dance class, playing with a parachute in a music or movement class, or taking a gymnastics class can also be beneficial to their development during this time. That said, never underestimate the importance of playing at parks during these years, both for the opportunity to get outside and the opportunity for your child to develop his or her gross motor skills. That brings us to number 2, fine motor skills. In addition to gross motor skills, children at this stage are starting to develop their fine motor skills, those skills that use fine finger movements, like the movements used to pick up beads, hold a pencil, or cut paper. These are often skills that are not innate. They must be taught. Examples of fine motor skills include picking and sorting beads with fingers, tweezers, or tongs, manipulating clay or Play-Doh into different shapes, especially snakes and balls, putting together puzzles, coloring in a coloring book and focusing on staying in the lines, brushing teeth, zipping zippers, and tying laces. Speaking of fine motor skills, did you know that speech development falls under fine motor skills? During this stage, children are actually trying to develop their fine motor muscles in their face, lips, and tongue, as well as their hands. This is why so many children's speech actually becomes clearer during these years. You can expect to hear improvements in most of their consonants, including the t, d, k, s, sh, ch, j, and v sounds. Keep in mind that l, and th sounds are usually among the last to develop. Activities that support speech development include singing songs, reading books, and engaging in a lot of face-to-face talk time. Number 3, social skills. Kids between the ages of 3 and 5 are so much fun to have conversations with. The TV show Kids Say the Darndest Things is a prime example of just how funny kids this age can be. However, that show is also an example of how kids this age can also act inappropriately out of ignorance, which is not uncommon. Preschoolers like to ask lots of questions, play with friends, and share sometimes. However, they still have a lot to learn when it comes to social skills, like how to lose gracefully, follow simple instructions thoroughly, and answer appropriately. Social skills are skills that are learned by interacting with others. While play dates with other similar-aged children can be helpful, time with siblings, family, friends, and even imaginary friends all provide a practice field for them to learn how and when and what to say and do when around others. How can you help your child develop positive social skills? Model good language skills by speaking in complete sentences and by using grown-up words. Help your child work through his or her problems when upset. Let them talk about their day and have them tell you about their highs and lows. Encourage play and sharing with others. Play games that involve corporate fun more than individual winners. Give your children the opportunity to make choices. Would you like the blue toothbrush or the red toothbrush this month? Yes, kids this age tend to be very selfish, moody, fearful, and even aggressive at times, as they are learning to and desiring to do things more independently. However, by the end of preschool, as their confidence in themselves and their abilities tend to grow, most preschoolers tend to be more cooperative, happier, and more responsible. So keep encouraging them. It will pay off in time. That brings us to our fourth focus of preschool, character. This fourth focus can actually be an extension of number 3, but for me deserves its own bullet point because where social and emotional skills involve actions on the outside, character development involves thoughts in the heart. As a Christian, I want my daughters to grow up loving the Lord and showing that love to others. How do they show that love? Through their character. I want children who are honest, kind, and trustworthy. I want girls who are patient, encouraging, and humble. Yes, I want them to develop those characters of love found in 1 Corinthians 13. And those skills don't develop on their own. They also need opportunities for development. How can you encourage this? Read stories that provide good character examples worth following. Practice good manners throughout the day, encouraging the use of please and thank you regularly. Let your child be responsible for the completion of certain daily chores or tasks. Compliment good behavior. Demonstrate good behavior. Ultimately, a child's character will hopefully become an extension of knowing Christ personally. During these early years, as they learn about Jesus and hear the stories of his love and redemption, they will see what that looks like as they watch you demonstrate character in their day-to-day. And, as with most children, they will naturally want to do things like you do. So remember, you are being Jesus to them. Number 5, academic skills. I mentioned academic skills last of all because, although academic skills are important, they only make up a small portion of what children should be learning at this stage. As parents, we want our students to succeed academically, and therefore, we begin teaching our children to read and write at earlier and earlier ages. However, if a child does not have the gross and fine motor skills, character skills, and social skills they need at this time, they will forever fall behind physically, emotionally, socially, and academically. So let's just assume at this point you are working with your children to develop their gross motor skills, their fine motor skills, their character, and their social skills. What academic skills are preschoolers capable of? A lot. By the end of preschool, most children should be able to identify basic shapes, recognize both upper and lowercase letters and recite the alphabet, read numbers and count from 1 to 20, identify basic colors, know basic personal information such as their full name, age, birthday, address, and phone number, know 8 or more nursery rhymes by heart. Again, much of this can be learned through day-to-day interactions with letters, numbers, words, and shapes and songs. After all, how many nursery rhymes can you say just because you grew up singing the nursery rhyme in a song? Mary had a little lamb? 3 blind mice? Row, row, row your boat? The list goes on and on. So let's review. The 5 most important areas to focus on during the preschool years are gross motor skills, fine motor skills, social skills, character, and academic skills. While you don't need a curriculum during the preschool years, if you are anything like me, you like having a guide to help you remember different things to work on throughout those early years. That's why I wrote the Encompass Preschool curriculum. In it, you will find opportunities for your child to develop each of these focus areas while also having fun cooking, painting, singing, playing, and more. You can check it out at cornerstoneconfessions.com or on Amazon. Just be sure to search for it using my name, Kathy Gosen. This concludes today's episode of the Homeschool 5 in 10. If you enjoyed listening to today's podcast, please leave a review on whatever platform you are listening on and click the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. All links mentioned in today's episode can be found in the show notes on thehomeschool5in10.com. Thanks again for listening to today's Homeschool 5 in 10, the show where I share the best and less. Join me next time as we talk about 5 things to know before teaching typing. See you then.